Hi everyone, my name is Simon Kent and I'm a lawyer at Kent Employment Law, and with me today is...
Kim Darling, also a lawyer at Kent Employment Law.
And...
Ryan Macklon, also a lawyer at Kent Employment Law.
Great. We're just going to have a quick discussion about forums, where our clients go to file their complaints that they have related to the workplace. We're going to talk about 3 forums today. One would be the Human Rights Tribunal, which Kim's going to talk about. Then Ryan's going to talk about employment standards, and I will talk about the courts. So over to you, Kim.
In BC, the Human Rights Code prohibits discrimination on a number of enumerated grounds in a number of described circumstances. So the enumerated grounds are what everybody thinks of: sex, religion, race, gender. The protected areas are things like education, employment, housing, services available to the public. So if you're in one of those areas and you're discriminated against on the basis of one of the prohibited grounds, you potentially have a claim for discrimination, which you bring as a complaint to the Human Rights Tribunal. And the way that process is started is through an online complaint form. So you fill out your complaint form, you hit send, you'll get an email acknowledging it, and then you wait. And you wait and you wait. And it's probably between 12 and 18 months before you'll hear back from them. And that's because there's a massive backlog in the system that really started to generate after COVID. And unfortunately, the tribunal's really under-resourced. So they're doing their best, but right now there's quite a delay. Once they do finally look at your file, you'll be contacted by one of the case managers, and they'll walk you through the rest of the process. They'll ask if you want an early settlement meeting. They'll talk about when documents have to be exchanged, when responses have to be filed, that kind of thing. And the case manager really does help guide the process in the human rights complaint system. If you aren't able to negotiate a settlement and you wind up having a hearing, you get set for a hearing before one of the Human Rights Tribunal members. And that could be anywhere from, a year to maybe another 18 months after that. So all in, you're looking at probably a minimum of 2.5 to maybe 3 years from the day you file your complaint to the date of a hearing if you're not able to get it resolved before that.
Wow, that's a long time. All right, over to you, Ryan. Let's talk about the Employment Standards Act and Employment Standards Branch. What do we need to know about that?
The Employment Standards Branch is there to enforce any of your employee rights under the Employment Standards Act. So these are things like wages, termination pay, overtime pay, sick leave, for example. If you've got a complaint about one of these things, you'll go online to the Employment Standards Branch website, you'll fill out the form and submit it, and then you'll wait. So similar to the Human Rights Tribunal, there's a bit of a wait time at the Employment Standards Branch, but it seems to be improving. Right now, it takes anywhere from about 6 to 12 months to get your complaint heard. And at that point, you'll find out whether it's proceeding or not. And if it goes ahead, then the Employment Standards Branch does an investigation. And during that time, they'll interview you, they'll review your documents, they'll also interview your employer as well. And at the end of that investigation process, a report gets created, and then they make a decision on your complaint. Timeline from the date you file a complaint to when you could be looking at a resolution is probably anywhere from about 12 to 18 months right now.
And I'm going to just talk about the court system. So there's 2 branches of the court system in British Columbia. There's the Small Claims Court for employment law matters, and there's Supreme Court. Supreme Court would be for all matters that are $35,000 and above. And I would say that you're looking at 1 to 2 years to get a resolution in Supreme Court. Again, depending on the complexity of the issue and how many days might be required in court. There's some processes that might be able to speed that up, but that's sort of beyond the scope of this video, and you'd have to talk to an employment lawyer about that. In the small claims matters, which is 35,000 or lower, you're probably looking at about a year. Although for matters that are $5,000 and less at the Civil Resolution Tribunal, it's probably 3 to 6 months. But no matter how you slice it, going through these sort of government related forums is time consuming. I think clients just need to know that there's no easy fix. If you do go through these processes, there's no quick resolution usually. And so patience is a virtue, I suppose, right?
Yeah. And obviously the objective is to try and get a settlement so you don't have to go all the way through to conclusion.
Yeah.
Right? Because the parties are always able to negotiate a settlement amongst themselves.
Yeah. Any comment on that, Ryan? Like, what do you do with your clients about trying to find early resolution?
I always tell my clients that really the first step is we should have a conversation with the employer first, and we'll get into a negotiation and talk about a settlement and see if that's possible first.
Right.
And oftentimes it is on the table. And that's the goal we're always trying to see if we can avoid even having to file these complaints and to go through these lengthy processes in the first place.
Yeah, because it can be expensive too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all the time we've got for this topic today, but thanks for joining us. And if you ever have any issues dealing with complaints and the different forms that they can be brought within British Columbia in regards to employment law matters, please give the lawyers at Kent Employment Law a call. Thanks for joining us.